Hey, I just wanted to show you guys something. This is our Formica that we're using, really old stuff. This one here is on a project I just did this last summer, so this is pretty new Formica. See how much I can bend that? It's not breaking. And you take this stuff, that's about as far as I feel like I want to go, because I feel like it's going to break on me maybe. I'm not going to go too much farther. That's a piece I'm going to use, but I was trying to get one that's close to the same width. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to kind of let you know that. And you can tell, look here, I'm pressing down. That's a lot thicker stuff too. So that's probably why I couldn't get that bent. I could probably come with a belt sander and sand my areas that I knew was going to have a bend in them, but anyway, just wanted to show you that. You know, I could have hid all that from you and everything and just tried to, you know, pass it off and cut it out. But I like to be honest with you guys, show you, you know, I screw up for sure. That's and do a lot, but that's how you learn things. Well, let's try this again. I had to cut a new piece here, though. Remember that one that we had was 43 inches. This one's 42 1/4. And I did sand it down in the places where I'm going to have a bend, so we'll see if that works now. I've made the radius a little bigger and I've sanded this, so we'll see what we can do. Just kind of have to keep rolling on it until it cools down. Just kind of pulling away a little bit. I get this all down. I'm going to put some clamps on it, I think. You see kind of a dark line there. It's just a pencil mark that I had on there. I'm just using this piece of forward as a straight edge, and I'm going to route this off very slowly so it doesn't move. That was a stupid way to do it, folks, but it worked. They do make a router, a little trim router that's got a base on it, that when you have a piece of laminate overlapping like that, it's got a little ridge on the bottom and it just rides along that and it cuts it perfect. So you just cut it off and lay it down. But anyway, we got it. I'm going to clamp it up and let it sit that way overnight, and I'll finish the rest tomorrow probably. Alright, got our flush cut and router. Just going to router that off. Also, I forgot to mention, if you ever have any little holes on any of these surfaces that your router is going to run on, make sure you fill them up with Bondo or something like that, because if your bearing falls down in there, it's going to, you know, make a little dip in your work there, and of course we don't want that. Just going to touch on this with a belt sander all the way around. Not doing much, just trying to clean it up a little bit. And notice when I use the belt sander, always the belt's turning this way. You don't want to have it turning this way where it comes off like that. You can cause chips in there. Just put one right here, make sure that doesn't slide off. If you're wondering why I was going all over the place, I don't want to just sit in one spot and keep going back and forth, because I'll end up with a little depression on one side with that belt sander. It takes it off pretty quicker than you might think, so that's kind of moving it around just to keep it evened out. Top I won't hit with a belt sander. I'll just use my little block sander here. A little safer. You could easily dig into a narrow surface like that with that sander. careful with these edges too, now that I've sanded them like that, and even after you've routed it, they're very sharp. So, and we want that sharp on wherever our next piece of Formica is going to go over here. We want that sharp. Here, after we're done, we'll file it off, and so it's not such a sharp edge, and somebody won't cut themselves. All right. Well, I had this clamped up all night long, and just around on the corners and stuff to make sure they didn't come unstuck. So let's route this off. Front and back of our box now. I set the router bit in a little bit more, so just a little bit of, barely the cutting edge, just a little bit past the thickness of the Formica is sticking out now, because that way, in case I happen to rock on this or something somehow, then it won't cut into the Formica. But I think this is pretty flat and it shouldn't have too much of a problem. Got a good surface to ride on, so again, I won't be able to route this top edge here because it's got that bevel on there, and that'll eat into that bevel. So I'm just going to do these three sides, and then I'll sand the rest. See all that crap on there like that? See, that's from that glue on the bottom edge of the Formica. I could have set that a little bit. That's the problem with setting it shallow like that, is it doesn't cut it off all the way. I could have set it a little bit deeper, or set it out a little bit more, but it's all right. It's no problem to do this. Better safe than sorry. So that leaves a rough edge for your bearing to ride on. When it does that, you end up with a ugly edge. I don't know if you can see that or not, but anyway, clean that off, and now I'll just go over it one more time. Always want to make sure too that your bearing works good on here, is spinning properly, because if it's not, it'll burn into your Formica too if you're going against a Formica edge. A lot of times I'll take some shortening, just regular shortening, and kind of put it on there. Underneath, like when this is hanging over, just kind of put it on there, put it like with a brush or something. Gives a sort of a slick surface, and that way if you do your bearing ever, because the bearing will get loaded up with that glue, that contact cement, it get loaded up with that eventually, and then they quit working, and again they'll just spin and they burn. So that kind of just a little safety precaution to keep that from burning into your Formica. So I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to belt sand this now. Alright. You know, if you're afraid to lay that on the way I just did, you could take like sticks like this, just make sure they're clean, and just set this off to the side, and just set them on here like this, and just keep setting them on there. And then you can take your piece of plastic here and just lay it right over the top, and then, you know, lay it on all the sticks, and then just pull a stick, you know, make sure you got it lined up, and you just pull a stick out each, you know, one at a time until you think you got it, and then you just pull them out, and then it'll help to make sure that you don't misalign it or something, because, you know, you got one shot with this stuff. It sticks pretty good, and once you stick it down, it's not going to come back up. So